Good morning.
Oh yeah. Anyway, good morning, you guys. Okay, yeah, the light in my I'm using a ring light this morning to light myself up. I had the light in the background behind me, but that was causing a massive halo effect. And it was if I kept my head here, it was fine. But if I went here or here,
It's
and
always that.
ooh, yeah, we're
I
raving.
love playing with the light. Yeah. It's like, ooh, ooh. Good.
Rave strobes.
Yeah. Oh God, so good.
Oh,
Good
so
morning,
good
everyone.
morning,
Oh my
everybody. We are back.
Welcome back.
Oh, sorry, apologies. Go ahead, Lucy.
We've just both got too much energy today. I don't know what's going on. It's like neither of us are even in prep, but welcome back, everyone, to the Ballerina and the Bodybuilding podcast. We actually received, I won't say what the stat was, but we received an incredible statistic this morning in our emails about the amount of downloads our podcast had. Just absolutely insane, guys. We are so stoked. So it's like such an Aussie term. We're so stoked to have you all here. It's just incredible, guys. We are just so happy. And actually, the feedback on the last episode, our macros meal plan intuitive, that was just incredible. That was like literally one of my favorite episodes. I want to go back and listen to it and just like ingrain everything we talked about because it was
Yeah.
just incredible. Like that, yeah, it was a really good conversation. I loved it, and you guys really, really loved it. And I'm actually finding that a lot of these conversations have been really, really powerful for my clients, and just like deepening their education, but also watching our relationship they found really interesting, which I
Okay.
find really cool. And then secondly on that as well, my mum actually listened to our first episode, and it was super ironic because she had a Facebook memory pop up that day about like the kind of when everything like fell down with me on that exact day, and she'd happened to listen to the podcast that day, and she was like, oh my God, that's so like
Oh,
serendipitous. And she was like, I just loved it. She was like, yeah, I just loved everything about the episode. So I was like, slay mama, just absolute slay. Yeah,
that's
so it's
so
all
beautiful.
happening over here. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
I
so
know.
beautiful. Definitely that like the last episode that we did in regards to macros meal planning, if fit your macros and intuitive eating, that was probably one of my favorite episodes as well. Just because we didn't even like I didn't plan for it. Like Lucy did a good bit of preparation for that episode. And it was just like we are so passionate about this and people's relationship with their food and how to get the most out of your eating patterns and your eating style for longevity, whatever way it's freaking pronounced. For longevity of your health, but also like your fitness goals as well, and like the most sustainable, maintainable way of doing things for each specific individual, and kind of tying in with what we were kind of talking about. It kind of loops into what we're going to be talking about today. So what we're going to be talking about today is what to look for when you are looking for a coach. So like when you're hiring your first coach, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. You're handing over your money to somebody else, more than likely on the internet. And that can be a big scary jump for a lot of people. And finding trust in someone that you may not particularly know in real life can be quite difficult. And also kind of jumping off of that topic as well is how to be a good client, or basically how to get the most out of your coach once you hire them. Okay. So let's get started. Let's get started.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things, Lucy, that you would look for in a coach? Let's say what okay, let's go off first. What were you looking for in a coach when you first started looking for one? And secondly, now, if you were to go look for a coach now, what would you look for?
Okay, that's cool. Yeah. So I think for
Please
a
don't be
lot of people, so I'm actually looking for something completely different right now. Said that. Come on. Okay, so essentially, I feel like for humans, when we are not currently with a coach, and let's say we've never had a coach before, we're either in two states. We're in a state where we have a problem that we want fixing. We're like, I need help with this. I don't know how to support myself with this. I need guidance and I need someone to trust. Or we're in a state where we maybe know some things and we're kind of aware, but we want to elevate our lives, right? So for where I'm at in the past, when I first started working with you and first started looking for a coach, I was in problem mode. I was like, I need help. I don't know how to help myself. I need help. So what I looked for was, one, evidence of someone who has done it with themselves and has done it with other people. Mm-hmm. Two, someone who actually looked very, very integral behind the scenes. It's not like, I didn't think you were someone who was like, okay, you need to eat this, this, and this, and then behind the scenes you were fucking up with your food and doing random shit. Like, no, it's obvious and clear that this person does what they say they do. Okay. And thirdly, I think you really need to find someone whose personality you match with. I would never, it's huge. I would never be able to work with a coach who's like super serious and super like doesn't swear and just like and doesn't have like a very clear level of communication. I wouldn't be able to work with someone who is also super soft and like faffy and too lovey-dovey. Like, that's not the vibe. I need personally to match my energy. I need someone who's direct, who's going to say it how it is, but then also is super loving and compassionate when they need to be, and someone I can trust. And you can feel the energy when you look at someone's Instagram page, because that's how we find coaches, right? You can feel the energy. Is this person trustworthy? Do I think they're actually doing what they say they're doing? Do I think they're supporting their clients? Like, how much time are they spending, let's say, posting photos of their own body, and how much are they posting of their clients' results, or how much are they posting of their own journey, and like in a this is me, this is me, this is me way, rather than, hey, this is how I got there, and actually educating their audience. And that was something that was very clear with you. It was just like, this is my service, this is my story, I lead with my heart, and I know my shit. Essentially, I know my shit. And that's also, I think, when you're looking at a coach's page, okay, what's their mix of personal and educational content? You're very educational and personal, and you bring your quirks and your fun and stuff like that. But then you're also like, hey, this is an education. I'm actually really fucking smart. You know what I mean? And so what does that create for someone? Trust and accountability, and something that they can go, oh, I actually feel like that person's going to get me a result, not just talking the talk. And you can see through the coaches that do the other. You can see through it. It's like, okay, are you a coach or are you an influencer?
Yeah. First off, this isn't meant to be an episode to big up me and like stroke my ego, but thank you.
Wasn't intentional. But yeah, take it.
Spaces are available for coaching. If anybody's interested, hit me up. But thank you very much, Lucy. And a lot of the things that you hit on there are very similar as to what I look for in a coach too. Very, very important. And the one that you were touching on when you first said is for me, and I didn't realize how important it was for me until I had a bit of an encounter this year with another coach that I was potentially going to hire. And that thing is for me, like, number one is that they walk the walk and they talk the talk. So someone who is a coach, but who's also an athlete as well, somebody who leads. That is very, very important for me. Because if, let's say I was to go to this other person who is a coach and they haven't been an athlete in the past 10 years, they haven't gone through the process in the past 10 years, that makes me question their processes and what they would ask of me to do in a prep or in an improvement season or whatever, because they haven't gone through it themselves in so long. And it's been 10 years, science has advanced, methods have advanced, like old school bodybuilding and dieting and whatever you like, lifestyle coaching is not the same as it was last year, let alone 5-10 years ago. So that thing for me is very important. Somebody who walks the walk and talks the talk. So for me, like my past coach, Kuba, that was like, he is the epitome of somebody who is an athlete and a really good coach. And he leads by example. And that's the same for now, Nathan, Big Nath, Nathan Styles, sorry. His second name is not Good Styles. That's Phoebe and Nathan's second name put together. But Nathan Styles, Big Nath, he is somebody who is an athlete and a really good coach, and he leads from the front. He leads by example. And what I really love about Nathan as well is just, again, things that you touched on. He is who he says he is. He is who he puts himself across on social media. He is very caring. He's very compassionate. He's very understanding, but he's also like straight to the point, direct. Like I was talking to you this morning, for example, and obviously right now I'm in prep, and we had spoken about on my last update, myself and Nathan, that we might have the possibility of having another couple of high food days, higher carb days this weekend. So today and tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday. And checked in with him, like touch base with him again this morning. And my weight is still trending down. And he was like, how are you feeling? Like, where's weight at this morning? And I was like, weight is this, and I'm feeling fine. Like, I feel like I don't need the food. And he was like, that's perfect. Let's crack on for another couple of low days. If you don't feel like you need it, let's keep digging. Because like, he's straight to the point. He's not just going to feed me for the sake of feeding me because of like an emotion, based on an emotion. He can separate the two. So that's very important for me. And like you said, the way that they appear on social media is the way that they are in real life too. And that they have a mix of their personality, their quirks, and education, like educational stuff on their page. So a mix of, let's say, their personality, their own journey, okay, that they're sharing their own journey if they want to. That's something I'll touch on like with myself later. A mix of educational content and a mix of obviously sharing their clients' progress too. Okay, all of those things are very important to me. And when I'm looking for a coach, and one thing that I would advise people to do is, obviously, don't buy coaching or buy a service from somebody in the coaching realm if you think just because this person has X amount of stats or X amount of letters before their name. Like, yes, your education is very important, and let's say your university degree or your background education is very important, I think. So that stuff is nailed in your head and you know how to properly read literature, scientific literature, without any biases. Don't hire somebody who you think is on this massive pedestal in that regard. You need to be able to resonate with this person. You need, and like you said, the relationship that you're going to have with this person is going to be like your new best friend. So you need to take that into consideration. You need to, as much as I hate this word, you need to vibe with the person. Okay.
You actually do.
Yeah. It's very, very important. Like, having the same sense of humor, or having a sense of humor, is very important for me, or for, let's say, anybody that I would be saying, or looking to say, look, this is what you need to look out for in a coach. And other things that you could do as well when you're looking for a coach or looking to hire a coach, don't like jump the gun. Like, take your time, shop around, very important. But also in that shopping around process, reach out to not just their current clients, but their past clients as well. Okay. And see, okay, well, why did you leave this coach? Was it just because it came up to the end of your time, or you couldn't afford coaching anymore, or did you end on bad terms? And I can pretty confidently say the majority of my past clients, we have all ended on pretty good terms, unless they didn't do what they were told and I told them to fuck off.
Yeah.
I've ended on amazing terms with, I would say, 95 to 99% of my clients. So reaching out to current and past clients and asking how Katie is as a coach, or asking how Lucy is as a coach, what things you like about her as a coach, or what things you don't like or you would like to see improve, and do your due diligence that way. So yeah, that's my little spiel there, off kind of riffing off of what you've just said.
Yeah, love that. And like, even as you said there, like, I feel like we can also say, when it comes to like the qualifications and stuff like that, I feel like we can say that because we have them.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? We are both university educated, tertiary educated, like, coaches. We can say that because we have them. And it doesn't mean that we necessarily respect someone more because they have them, or if they don't have them, doesn't really care. But we have a level of understanding where we can say that, I feel. And the other thing I was going to say, when it comes to the vibe, it's huge. It's huge. You're going to spend messages every day, probably a check-in, a call. You essentially, when you're hiring a coach, I would say, look at the person and say, do I want to be like that person? Not do I want to be that person. I don't want to copy them. I don't want to be them. But do I want to have similar qualities and values and similar things in my lifestyle and the way I lead my lifestyle and habits and behaviors to that person? Okay, yeah, that's what you're looking for, right? if you went on Katie's page, you could see straight away how hard she trains in the gym. If you want to be someone who just does a random little like Pilates workout, sorry, but clearly that's not going to be the vibe you want, right? If you go on my page and you want something super, super serious and like super strict and you're not going to get that, because you know I'm posting bullshit on my story on stairs at 4 a.m. Like, you know that I'm going to joke around. Like, you're not going to get that. So I feel like you need to be very driven by, okay, what does this person have that I don't yet have? Do I want that? Do I want those values? Do I want to be someone that trains like an absolute gun? When I was looking for a coach, I was like, oh, I just want to like tear shit up in the gym. And Katie was a perfect example of that. Like squishing herself at the end of a leg press, just like dying on the floor. Like that's like, oh, I like it. I was like, I like it. I want to be like it. You know what I mean? So, and I feel like it's the same with my clients when they come to me. They're like, oh, I want this and this and this and this. And when they say it, it's like, yeah, that's things that I have. I can see why you've come over. So a lot of it is the vibe. Essentially, it's the vibe. And then, yeah, as we said before, like seeing the results that they actually get with their clients. And there's a level of sharing that's appropriate and not, depending on how much clients want and stuff like that. And the coach is always going to check that with the client. But when you can actually see evidence of not just their own progress, but their clients' progress, it's also really, really important. And then just a general like outlook on their community as well. Like how much are people actually sharing about their coaching experience? A lot of people are closed off to sharing about their coaching, right? I know that my clients vibe being in my world because they want to post like random like things that we do and like random little like things that like are in our vibe. And it's like, that's because we have a community, and it's like you also want to look for being in a community and seeing that. So yeah, I think that's really important. And there was one more thing I was going to say. Prep brain. I think it's important not just to go to a coach for an outcome, but to go for an experience.
Yes. Oh, wow. Yes. That is so, so important. Like, it's a service-based business. Like with coaching, and I know for you, myself and yourself, coaching isn't just handing out a set of macros or handing out a meal plan or handing out a training program. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry on the planet can do that. Okay. Like stupid people can do that very easily. Chat GPG can do that very easily. Like you don't need a coach to give you a set of macros or give you a training plan. You're going for the experience. And like what Lucy was touching on too, you're not just going for that outcome, you're going for the service, you're going for the experience. And I would confidently say with my clients, and definitely your clients as well, there's not just a shift in their physique or their body composition or anything like that, or improvements in their digestion or things like that, or the improvements in their skin because they're eating better. There's a massive, massive improvement on the mental side of things, not just their mental health in general, like an uptick in their general mental health and feeling better and like an elevated mood, but their self-worth improves, their self-confidence improves. Okay. And that comes about but through the training and the nutrition, but it's more so because you're holding yourself to a higher standard, because you're staying accountable to this coach. This coach has you, or is not making you, but is somewhat making you or forcing you to hold yourself to a higher standard, because you can't do it on your own. And that level of accountability and doing the hard stuff that your coach asks you to do, not choosing the easy route, is what builds your self-worth, is what builds your self-confidence and builds resilience. And that's what a lot of people, the majority of people in this world, are missing from their lives. And they go through life just feeling numb, feeling like, oh, this is just like average, this is fine. What if life wasn't fine? What if life was absolutely amazing every single day? You loved absolutely every second of your day, instead of just being like, oh, I have to get up at this hour. Oh, I have to go to work. I have to go do this job that I have no passion about. I would say 75% of my clients that I've worked with over the past 5 years have all either changed careers or started their own business. How fucking cool is that? That has come through coaching, through the realms of asking different questions. Okay. And that's another thing that you could ask perhaps, is like, what is your check-in process like? Okay. How do you do check-ins? All of those things vary and matter because each coach is different. I know for myself, I do Loom videos for check-ins, and I have a video on my Linktree as to how my coaching looks and what you can expect from my coaching. before you even sign up. So you get an insight into my world and what it looks like before you even sign up. Okay. So, because some coaches only do voice notes, some coaches only do written feedback, some coaches have a 48-hour response time. Okay. And this is something kind of tying in with what you said previously as well, is like, you don't want to hire an influencer as your coach. I can hands down tell you that 100%, because the influencers who are selling themselves as coaches do not care about coaching. They care about helping people. Excuse me, not what I meant to say.
I don't.
The opposite of what I was trying to say. Those influencers care about making money. You will see that their priority is the influencer jobs that they have to do in regards to like paid promotions or ads or specific types of content. They're not really sharing their clients' progress or feedback or check-in feedback on their stories or on their feed. They're not sharing any of that on their Instagram or on their socials. Definitely don't want to hire an influencer as a coach, because like I was saying, they do not care about their clients. From what I have seen and experienced myself, 100%, that is true for what I've experienced and what I've seen and what I've heard. And I won't get down the rabbit hole because I don't want to be like causing drama, but I think you know what I'm who and what I'm talking about. But you want to look for a coach who loves helping people.
Yes.
And if you like, this kind of gets into the realm as well as, if you want to be a coach to make money, you're going to fail. You're going to fail on your face 1000%. If you get into coaching because you like helping people, if you love helping people, if you want to help people reach their fullest potential, that is going to do really well, really well. So yeah, that's what I was touching on there. So what I actually did yesterday on my stories, before we kind of bounce back to you, is I asked the question on my story, and I put up a question box, is what do you expect to get from or gain from a coach? Okay. And a couple of different people answered, a couple of lifestyle people answered, and a couple of bodybuilders answered. So one of the bodybuilding people that answered this question, he is a men's open bodybuilder who could potentially win his pro card. He said, clear, concise instruction, professional relationship only, same day response. So that's important for him. And you can see how different our needs are compared to this person here, this male open bodybuilder. Okay. He doesn't need like the super like close relationship or like something like that. He needs professional, concise instruction. Just tell me what to do and I will do it. That's it. I don't need you to be my best friend. I don't need you to be my friend. I need you to be a coach. Okay. And that's very important for him. So you can see how that differs from one person to the next. So getting clear on what it is that you need and want from a coach. One of the lifestyle people who answered said they need or they want to gain or get knowledge, accountability, support, and tough love when it's needed. Okay. So you can see there, like that person needs knowledge when it comes to training and nutrition. They want the accountability aspect of coaching. So checking in with themselves, training footage, training feedback. Again, that's something that not many coaches still do, which blows my fucking mind. But also calling you out in your bullshit. And that's something that I hold myself to a high standard. Is like, I will be the biggest fucking cheerleader for you in the room, but I'm also going to kick you up the ass when you need it.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to hand the floor back to you, my dear.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. They're both really good responses. And I think what ties the two of those together is, even if you're a lifestyle or a bodybuilding or whatever sort of client, what you're looking for is to be held to a higher standard. Yeah. So find a coach who has the standards you want, right? You need to look for a coach who actually you can see holds those standards for themselves. If you want to be someone that has consistent meals and is really bang on and meal preps and all the things, you should be able to see that through your coach's content, or you should be able to, they should say, hey, what we do is meal plans and we do macros and this, like you can see the standard that they hold for themselves and the standard they hold for their other clients and know, oh, that's a standard I want to be held to, right? And that's different for everyone. As we just said, like someone's standard that they want to be held to might just be getting their stuff, doing it, ticking boxes, and someone else's standard might be being vulnerable and communicating how they're feeling and stuff like that. But it's what standard do you want to now be held at? And that's really the coach's job, essentially, is to elevate your life in the way that you want it to be, but also in the way that they see it should be. Like the way that they see they can have an influence in a really positive way as well. So I think, yeah, that's really important. I really like both of those points. It's raising your standards, raising your bar, and you can see that. And last thing I want to put on that is kind of just swinging off the influencer thing and just, you know, find yourself a coach. And if you go through your Instagram feed or whatever and go, do I actually respect this person as a person and a professional, not just for their abs? Or not just for their followers, or not just for one person's booty transformation? Do I actually just respect this person? Okay, well, maybe then they're going to teach me more about how to respect myself, and they're a leader. They're probably going to be a leader if I respect them. If I can sit on someone's Instagram and go, oh, I respect you. Okay, I'm probably going to want to pay them rather than someone I go, oh, okay, I like your abs, I guess. Like, what? That's not a coach. That's not a coach. Someone you can learn to respect and value.
And kind of two things there. Okay, one, I have another little bit of a rant that I want to go on, but before that, if your coach has abs all year round and only posts pictures of themselves when they are super, super lean, do you want to be coached by somebody who is that insecure in themselves?
Yeah.
So for me, like I would also pride myself in saying I like to show all parts of my journey. Right now, I'm not sharing as much of my prep as I would have done in the past, just simply because I don't want to share it on social media, because I want to do it solely for me and nobody else, not for social media gratification. I don't want that boost in like serotonin levels and dopamine levels from the increased likes or the increased engagement. Yeah, it would be great for business for sure, but I need to be very self-aware of that. And like I was saying, I make sure that like I post the good stuff and the bad stuff, the easy, like the good stuff and the hard stuff. Okay. And one thing that you touched on there as well is your coach knowing what you need for your life in order for you to succeed and progress. And I saw a post the other day from a very, very reputable mindset coach. And to a degree, I agree with what she says here, but I also don't agree. Like, because you are hiring a coach for a reason. You're hiring a coach to help you get to where you want to be. And if that coach is reputable and has experience and has worked with similar lifestyle scenarios or even bodybuilding scenarios in the past and had great success, you can trust that coach. Okay. So what she said here is, as coaches, we assume the expert role. I mean, people are literally hiring you for your expertise, so it makes sense. But here's the thing. You might have expertise as a coach, but you're not the expert on your clients' lives. And yes, I agree with that at the first, like in the first initial stages of coaching somebody. You don't know that person at all when they're signing up. So that's the importance of having an onboarding call, like a sign-up call, like get to know the person, and having an in-depth questionnaire for your potential clients, or like looking for an in-depth questionnaire from a coach in the onboarding process, and them wanting to get to know you. That's a big one. Them wanting to get to know you, not just your biometric stats. Okay, not just your weight, not just your height, not just your measurements. They want to get to know you, your life, what your job is, what your daily routine is looking like, what are the hurdles and obstacles that you've had, like that you've run into in the past that has prevented you from reaching your goals. She went on then to say, they know themselves, their goals, their lifestyles, and their preferences way better than you ever will. Sometimes when you immediately propose solutions, jump to conclusions about what your clients need, or assume you know what advice they need to hear, and if when you do that, you miss the mark or are incorrect, it can come off as condescending, or as if you didn't care enough to ask or get more information first. So that's why I broke up the two parts there, in terms of like, we care enough to ask first. We care enough to get to know in depth about our clients' lives before jumping to conclusions or before giving advice. But the bullshit there at the beginning is like that we don't know what our clients need. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. Like I'm getting so angry.
I can agree more. That's bullshit. It's like if your client has strong enough level of communication with you and trust with you, they're going to tell you what they need, but also you're going to be able to read that because one, we've done it with multiple people, but two, they let you in. So you're let in then. You're let into their life. You know what they need. Like, and I always say to my clients, hey, remember, you don't have to agree with everything I'm saying. I say this from the start, discern what feels good for you and what doesn't. I'm just going to reflect what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
I would never tell a client, do this. I go, I'm going to reflect what I'm seeing. Tell me what your resistance is to what I'm saying.
Yeah. So for example, like it's come up with like numerous check-ins with you and me is when I look at your check-in, I'm looking at you as a whole, but also what's going on in the periphery. Like, what are you saying? What are you also not saying? Okay.
Yep.
And I will give you advice based off of what I see. And I will tell you, this is what I'm hearing. This is what I'm seeing from your check-in or what you're telling me. If this is incorrect, then please correct me. Okay. Please correct me. And if you're ever not comfortable with something from a coach, you need to tell them that too.
Yeah,
and
no snakes in the
that's a red flag in a coach, I would say. Coach forcing you to do something, or let's say you say to your coach you're not comfortable with doing that. Now we're talking more so about like extreme diets, extreme cardio, or like a stupidly strict meal plan, asterisk beside that, or like drug protocols. Like if you're not comfortable with that and your coach is still pressing you or pushing you to do that, or says, oh, you're never going to amount to anything because you won't do this, or like you're questioning me why you don't do this, or if your coach can't back up why they're asking you to do this particular thing with a reason or a scientific reason or a well thought out reason, you need to dump that coach. Okay. What did I put the asterisk beside? Meal plans. Yes.
Meal plans, strict meal plan.
Asterisk beside there is because if you have any sort of gut issue like SIBO, leaky gut, or you're getting ready for a bodybuilding prep, or if you have any hormonal issues that you need help with, you're going to have to follow probably a meal plan, a strict meal plan for a particular amount of time. And if you've never followed a meal plan before and you are extremely overweight, you need to follow something and have some level of rigidity in your life, because there's been no rigidity or anything. There's been way too much flexibility, and every day of your life has been a cheat meal up until this point. You need to not. Okay. So anyway, that's grand done.
Oh, love that. Okay, I feel like we've covered like what to look for in a coach from like a logistical level and then like almost like an energetic like vibe level. I love that. I think that really encompasses that. So following on from there, guys, what we kind of want to go into is, okay, it's all well and good to find your coach, but you've got to be a coachable human. You've actually got to be a coachable human, an athlete. And depending on what coach you're looking for, you need to be open, you need to trust, and you need to have a level of standards for yourself as a client. And this is something you learn along the way. I think it's something you learn along the way, but it's very obvious when someone first starts in a coaching relationship what sort of client they are. It's very obvious. And I just cut the shit. I'm just like, no, this is the expectation to be in my world. This is the sort of client you're going to be. And I'd say you're the exact same. It's like I have never in my life missed a check-in. I have never, I've never missed a session. Like I've just never done that because that's a standard I hold, but it's also the standard you hold. Right?
Yeah.
Whereas like, I think when you first start coaching, if it's not clear what your coach expects from you, and it's also not clear how you want to navigate this relationship and how much you're invested in it and what you want to get out of it, then you're going to be a flaky AF client. Okay. So something that I think is really, really important in being coachable is actually getting over yourself. Okay. And I don't mean to slap in the face, but like it actually is. Essentially, you've hired an expert in this field to help you. You've hired someone for support and guidance and education and help. But if you're still coming into the coaching space thinking you're the expert, thinking that you know all the answers, then why are you with a coach? Right? Yeah. You actually have to become a student again.
It's that level of arrogance that you need to drop. You need
to drop your ego.
You have to drop the ego and get some humility on board, because you've hired this person for a reason. If you think you know better, then you're just fucking pissing into the wind with your money.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is so obvious, right? This is that quote, coaches need coaches. It couldn't be more true. I am a coach. I have a coach, right? Guys, when I show up in my space with Katie, I am the student. I'm like, tell me what to do. I'm the student. I'm soaking in the information. I'm asking questions. I'm bouncing ideas. When I'm the coach, I'm telling. And I'm like, I'm teaching and I'm educating and I'm advising and I'm supporting. And my clients are asking me questions. That is how it works. But if you're going to come in with already this ego of like, and by ego, I don't mean like, I'm the best. I just mean ego of like trying to protect who you are sort of thing. If you're coming in with an ego of, well, I don't really need that much help, or it's not really that bad how I'm eating, or I don't really, you're not going to get anywhere. What would happen if you just drop the ego and you're like, hey, this is me like naked, raw, exposed, can you help me? And you just let yourself absorb support. So many people aren't willing to take up space with their coaches. And I encourage, I'll know when my clients are being sneaky, I go, I expect you to plug in 5 times this week. And by plug in, I mean get on Voxer, which is an app we use, or get on WhatsApp, and I want you to talk to me 5 times this week. And that's really hard for people at the start of a coaching relationship because they've never had support. They've actually never had support that they get to take up space in. And once they start, they're like, oh my God, like I actually get to like have a relationship here, and I get to like build something, and I get to like communicate my feelings. And what does that do? It makes them more aware of their habits, their actions. If you're not talking to your coach throughout the week, I'm pretty sure you're probably not staying on your meals. I actually reckon a lot of the time, maybe yes, like that's a generalization. You might be really, really amazing and fantastic, and you might not need that level of support as time goes on in a coaching relationship. But at the start of being a client, I really think you need to utilize the support where it's there. Yeah. Everyone's need for support is different, but you've got to utilize it when you require it and when you're new to it, because that is the whole point, is that you have support and guidance. And if you're not utilizing it and, trying to protect yourself and not look needy or not look, and there's a level to that, but there's a level to that, and the coach needs to set a boundary at the start, but you get to take up space with your coach within their hours, within their boundaries, and within the coaching space that their realm of expertise. You get to take up space. So let yourself take it and drop your ego. That's my biggest thing.
That's a massive, massive one that like you've touched on there, is like you need to drop the ego. But what you just touched on there in that last sentence is about, oh my God, prep brain, fuck.
Taking up space.
Taking up space and actually communicating with the coach. Yep. And the notion that you think you're bothering your coach, or you're too needy, or you're messaging your coach too much. That is your job as a client, is to message and get the absolute most from your coach. Okay.
The whole point, guys.
Like the amount of times the past month, I don't know what's going on, fucking Mercury in retrograde bullshit. The amount of clients who've been sick and haven't messaged me throughout the week. And I'm like, what the fuck is this fucking bullshit? Like, you message me as soon as you're sick so we can start a protocol and make sure you're doing exactly what you need to do in terms of rest, sleep, water or hydration, food, not training, the amount of activity you're doing throughout the day, stress management, supplement protocols if needed. Oh my God, it drives me insane to like think that clients can't message me throughout the week. That is the biggest thing that I harp on about, is like, I do not want you to just hold everything for your check-in. I want you to communicate with me throughout the week. We need to address your problems as soon as they come up, rather than waiting a week. Okay. And like you said, the people who are not messaging or touching base with you throughout the week are more than likely the people who are not holding themselves to the higher standards that you have set for them. They're not sticking to their meals. They're slipping on some element of their life or their protocols, and they have a sense of shame and guilt about that.
How do we get over shame and guilt, guys? By hiring a coach to hold us to a higher standard and being fucking honest about it.
Yeah, but also the shame and guilt and not telling anybody about what you're doing, that is ego. That is ego. You need to drop the ego. And if anybody is like wondering how ego is like ruling their lives, or how it's influencing their lives and then maybe holding you back, the book Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday is a must read for everyone. Okay, that's been my book this past couple of weeks on prep, reading on the Stairmaster. And like the first week, like first 5 days that I read the book, I was like 3/4 of the way through the book. I was like, oh my God, no, I need to slow down because I want this book to last forever. But I like
big ego death. Have you had an ego death?
No, we need some mushy first for that to happen. I'm like, I don't want to have an ego death.
Again, it's quite
fun. But like I took a picture of that book, like to highlight it and post it to my stories every single morning when I was on the Stairmaster, because every single page of that book resonated with me. I was like, wow, this, I didn't realize how ego was influencing my life and how it was ruling my life to a certain extent. So definitely that is a big one. And yeah, that's just the notion of when clients hire you and you give them a protocol to hit, or you give them something to do. You give them protocols in relation to their mindset, in relation to their nutrition, in relation to their training. And then they turn around and say, well, actually, I think this is better for me. And I'm like,
okay, but don't pay me then. Okay, bye. Bye. You don't trust me? Bye.
bye. What is the point? What is the
Can't
point?
play
If you want
that.
to coach yourself, go and do that. Go and do
Mm.
that. So don't waste your time or your coach's time or money doing that. You need to be open and receptive to feedback. You need to be open and receptive to things that you are not doing well, and be okay, oh, I'm not doing this quite well, or I'm not being the client that I should be in this relationship. And again, that's something that you should also look out for in a coach is, does your coach set standards for you in regards to, let's say, do they have a contract with you when you sign up? Because I know in my contract with clients, there are specific, clear and specific guidelines as to how this relationship is going to work. And if you don't adhere to them, it's just like, well, this relationship is over. Okay. And the big one there is communication. And I say that in everybody's starting documents. I say it on every call who's looking to sign up. If we don't have communication, we have nothing. We have nothing. You need to have open and honest communication with me at all times, and never, ever be afraid to share something with me. Yes, I deal out tough love when it's needed, but I'm also extremely compassionate. Whatever your situation is, I will be there to listen and be open and ask you exactly what you need at that moment in time. And I think also what I meant to say previously when we were touching on the coach aspect, just because somebody is looking for a professional service doesn't mean that being your cheerleader or being compassionate and understanding about certain situations doesn't make you any less professional than somebody else. Holding up that rigid professional structure of like, I don't care about what's going on in your life. I'm just handing you out your macros and your training plan. That's all I want to know. That to me is not professional. That's cold. So being professional, there's different levels to that and what that can look like for different people.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And on that, almost on like a flip side of that as well, there's like a very beautiful balance between a friendship dynamic and a coaching dynamic, and you get to play in both depending who your coach is and what the vibe is in their world. And we're both in the two, but when it comes to the coaching side of things, just make sure that you remember what your coach is coaching you on. Sometimes people can really push outside of the container and bring in, let's say someone's a fitness and nutrition only coach, and they bring in like, oh, this is happening in my personal life, but it's like, I really need support on my deep mental health issues. It's like, no, they're not a psychologist. So guys, when you're hiring a coach, get very clear on what their area of expertise is. If someone came to me for, I don't know, running, I would be like, no, like, sorry, like, I don't do running. Like, that's not that, but you can come to me for like trauma work, sure, right? Because it's what I do. But like, it's different. Let's say for Katie, like if someone came to her for like, I don't know, I'm not going to say intuitive eating, I don't know, something fucking random, like trampolining.
I want to learn
like,
how to intuitively eat, and I want to learn how to move my body and be a yogi master. I have no problem with yoga. I have no problem with that. But if you are 100 pounds overweight and you need muscle on your body and you need structure to your nutrition, you can fuck right off.
Yeah, we're not the coach for you. So it's
Yeah.
like, actually, as a client, it's up to you to decide, what am I going to seek support on? And look, sometimes it really opens up. Like I've had conversations about fucking anything with my clients where I'm an open book, but it doesn't mean I'm going to be able to like advise and educate and support you necessarily on that, but I'll converse about it, right?
Yeah. One thing that like I'm touching on, what you've touched on, is like knowing the boundaries of your coach-client relationship. And for example, let's say I've had this in the past where I would say I work on the nutrition and fitness side of things, but I also work on the mindset side of things in terms of my coaching realm and my coaching relationship with my clients. But there has been numerous times where clients will come to me with like deeply traumatic things, and they've not warned me in advance, if that makes sense. And I will be extremely understanding, or have been, with these scenarios and these client situations. And I will say, well, this is what I'm seeing, and this is the advice that I'm giving you, and I'm here for you if you need anything. And they come back to me and they go, you're not a fucking therapist. I didn't ask you to give me advice in this particular area. And I'm like, well, actually, you fucking did. You brought it up in your check-in. You asked me what I thought. So you did ask for my advice. So if you're not looking for it, like, if you don't want advice, don't ask for it, and don't give me therapist or psychologist questions or topics if you don't want help with that. And don't come back to me with that bullshit.
Yeah.
That drives me insane when people ask for advice, or basically people who are assholes. So.
Yeah, guys, you've got to really have a respect for your coach, and remember, they're not a 24-hour walkie-talkie emotional support water bottle for you. That's not what their job is. They're there to coach you.
And if your coach is a good coach, you won't feel the need to utilize your coach as an emotional 24/7 walkie-talkie.
Yeah, exactly. So it's having respect for your coach and actually understanding what the capacity is in the relationship. And then I think another thing that's very, very important as a client is you also have to have your own levels of accountability and consistency and structure that you build and bring to the coach, right? So the coach is going to say to you, this is what I would advise for you, blah, 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 blah. If you just go, okay, cool, and you know you're not going to do any of that, what is the point? You need to be able to communicate effectively and say, hey, I'm not sure if I'll be able to do that bit. I can definitely do this. Is there any way we can tweak this? And this is, it all goes back to communication, right? But it's actually being able to be very honest with what you're capable of doing and also stretching your limits. But if you're not doing behind the scenes work, if you're not actually being like in your day, okay, these are my protocols, like how am I going to keep myself accountable here? And yes, you reach out to your coach for that, but there is a level of self-responsibility that your coach can't give you all the answers. That's not the point. That's not the point. They can reflect to you, they can advise you, but they're not there to give you all the answers, because you need to bring yourself into the equation. So get very clear on your part in the relationship and how much you can hold yourself, and getting clear on how you're going to get the stuff done. And then when you're like, I don't know this bit, that's when you go to your coach and you go, what do you think on this, and stuff like that. So there's just so much to go into. Like, there's just so much. But I just feel like being a coachable, I feel like I'm a coachable client. I don't even know what words I'm saying. And I always have been, but you've got to be, that's actually the other thing I'm going to add. You've got to be willing to receive tough love.
Yeah.
Right? You've actually got to be willing to receive it, because your coach isn't there to just be your cheerleader. Yeah. Then you're not getting anywhere.
A good coach will be someone who holds up the mirror to you in the relationship and say, hey, look, this is what is being reflected onto me at this moment in time. This is what I'm seeing. I need you to see it as well. And that's what tough love is. Tough love isn't being like, you're a fucking lazy cunt or something like that, or you're like point blank.
Any of the above, yeah.
Yeah. Tough love is holding up the mirror to you as the client and saying, hey, look at yourself. Look at what you're doing. Get it together. One more point that I wanted to talk about is obviously, like, again, all comes down to the communication aspect. Communication. In your check-in feedback, if you give one-word answers to your check-in, to your check-in questions, you are giving your coach nothing to work with. So you're going to get one-word answers to your check-in questions, okay? Effort speaks volumes, okay? If you're putting in effort into your check-ins, into your daily tracker, into your training, into sending me your training footage, into sending me like the most amazing creations that you're making with your food, because that's something loads of my clients are doing recently, is sending me the recipes that they're making, sending me their food that they're making, and then me asking them, like, post that in the group chat. Like, it's unreal. The effort that you put in speaks volumes, and your coach can see that.
Yeah, it does. What you put in, you're going to get out, right? My clients that just absolutely excel are the ones that are plugging in consistently. They're always on time for their call. They never miss a beat. They're getting their stuff done because they're putting the effort in. And even just like the simple thing of like, okay, yes, put quality and effort into your check-in, but also just get it done on time. Respect your coach's boundaries. Like, your coach is gone. You're going to create this level of resentment and disconnect between you and your coach if you can't respect their boundaries, because they're going to respect yours because they're professional and they know how to. If they're a good coach, they're going to respect your boundaries and their own, because they're running a business as well. You got to remember, get your check-in on time. Don't you? It's not your coach's job to be like, hey babe, can you send me your photos? Like, didn't get to see them. Yeah, mistake's a mistake, but like,
If you're
you've
doing that
got to
every
hold
single
yourself
week,
to a higher level.
bullshit. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like hold yourself to a high standard and respect your coach, because you know what? Then you build more respect for your coaching relationship, and in turn more respect for yourself. So yeah, I love that.
Love that. I think that's a pretty good place to wrap up. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a big episode.
That's a big episode. Very, very in-depth episode as well.
Mm.
Loved it. I love when we
Interesting
rant.
I love our rants as well. I think it's really interesting because we're both clients, we're both coaches, and you're my coach as well. So it's like this interesting dynamic of like, we can really clearly see what it's like to be the coach, what it's like to be the client, and then to be in the relationship and have a very like honest reflection of the relationship. So yeah, guys, communication, trust, drop your ego, utilize support, have respect. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you wouldn't go into a hairdresser for a service to get your hair cut and then not ask them what you want from your haircut.
Like, come on.
Anyway, excellent
Good
episode.
job.
I am very excited
Excellent.
about this one. And to share it with all the socials. And I hope you guys also share to all the socials. And if you resonated with something, or you learned something that you didn't think about in terms of hiring a coach or being a good client, make sure and send us a message or share it to your stories, because sharing is caring. And if we can share this with more people, we're going to be able to help more people as well. So is there anything that you'd like to say, or anything that you'd like to let the people know, Lucy?
I would say, all my clients, you need to listen to at least part 2 of this episode. I love you all. No, I would say, get in our DMs, guys. We are both coaches. We're both good coaches, and I think we're both great. So if you guys are actually looking for coaching, I am like nutrition and mindset coach, and then Katie is obviously fitness and nutrition and mindset as well in there. So you guys utilize the support where you need it. Find what you vibe with. You might not vibe with us, that's fine, but also like, you're fucking listening to our podcast, so I think you're in the vibes now. It's episode 7 or whatever, guys. Come on. I think you like us, so yeah.
I guess the downloads,
That's the vibe I'm getting.
the downloads stats are telling us you like us anyway. So thank you
Speak it
very
for themselves. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
please leave us a 5-star rating and review on Spotify. Leave us a thumbs up on the YouTube. Leave a comment on the YouTube as well if you ever like them. If you ever want to leave us a comment, or send us a message if you want us to cover a particular topic. Thank you for tuning in. See you next.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.